All right, Cyber Traders, welcome on back here this Monday, January 10th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Chuck. Great to see Mario from before. Great to see Norman, Ray, and all of us otherwise joining us live inside the Cyber Group room. Great to see everybody there. Great to see all of us on social media once again, Facebook Live, YouTube, for those of us joining us this afternoon. So without further ado, let's hop right into the thick of things here, folks. BCRX up just near 26% right now, still trending up beautifully from the pop that it had upon the market opening up. Hey, this wasn't one that we had on our pre-market list or the morning watch list. It really didn't have much activity throughout, but it's one that, hey, after the market opened up, we ended up seeing it begin to pop right away. It climbed right up on the gainers list. So for that reason, we ended up just calling it out from there, and it's benefited us pretty nicely since. So for right now, the way this looks, easily no brainer. We'll just put this on our watch list for the afternoon. Now, in terms of liquidity or where the iceberg orders are, I don't think I have this up on my level 4 yet. So if you could spare me a few seconds, I'll do that. But then otherwise, in the meantime, as I load up bookmap level 4, we'll just look at the daily chart pretty quick. So looks like, if anything, this is making a move above one daily chart resistance that we had back from a week or two ago, roughly around this 1410-ish area. Still not totally, not totally removed from the price level so far. It still may look to pull back there later on today. But if it does keep pushing up, just looking at the daily, I see two price levels that could be resistance right around here, roughly around 1485, 1490, dating back to mid-September, or otherwise here perhaps dating back to the summertime, basically late June, early July, and throughout, right around 1520-ish, 1525 perhaps, that is. So we'll see what happens just, from that standpoint. Looking at level 4, though, in the meantime, as I now have that up, looks like there's a 20,000 share iceberg order up top on the ask at $15. There's not much above it from where it's at currently aside from that 15. So that doesn't guarantee it's going to run up to 15 instantaneously. Check the bid, make sure that there's support building in the process. But for right now, this BCRX, definitely the way it looks. Put this on our watch list. All right, so what we'll do is recap a couple of the other stocks that we ended up trading from earlier today. Unfortunately, not all of the stocks that we put on the morning watch list ended up making a great move, but we caught a couple of good ones here. To begin, TLRY. This is one that we are probably one of the stock we're probably more familiar with compared to anything else really from the morning watch list today. So we ended up seeing the TLRY trade make a decent pop upon the open, ended up making a nice little slingshot as it broke below 7, popped right back above it, ended up running up pretty nicely from there. We were more so jumping in once it broke above resistance off of 740 pre-market level, and then look at where it topped off at. I mean, we were talking about 740 and 780 all throughout the pre-market leading into the morning meeting even. So it's pretty interesting to see how that 780 ended up becoming the real HOD level. It popped above it, came right back under it though, and then from there came back down. So, for this afternoon, not too particular about the TLRY trade. Just nice pop from the morning though. It was on our watch list. Now, a stock that was also on our morning watch list, I want to go over this now only for our students inside the live trading room, really, because I was commenting on this when it was kind of like slow out heading into the early to mid-afternoon. Quick water break in between. But the RVPH stock, this one we were pretty excited for here upon the open. It wasn't trending up perfectly, but it wasn't tanking, showing some big buying at least going into 9 a.m. Eastern time. Ended up coiling up a bit, but we were hopeful for a big pop at first. Well, didn't get it. We ended up seeing this thing open up and it broke down immediately. We in the trading room knew to move on from it pretty quickly from there. Really, I took my eyes off it for a while. Really, unfortunately, our attention was on the rather much of a tease. What was that? PSTI stock, which we'll get to next. But this trade ended up continuing to break down across the morning into the afternoon. And I guess it was fortunate timing. I don't know. Just sometimes I scan through and I turn back over to a stock that I took the time in pre-market to prep and chart and line up. And the stock is just right there at a key level that I planned out in advance. Doesn't happen often, but on this RVPH trade, pretty good timing, Mario, right? Ended up, I turned over to the stock and it was pretty much right there at 276, 277. And 276 to me, I drew as a pre-market iceberg level that was there early in the morning. So I wouldn't have thought about entering that trade otherwise, but it was perfect timing. We ended up calling out the bottom at the time on this RVPH just prior to 2 p.m. And it ended up leading to a nice little squeeze. I took out 3/4 of my position under 295. I still have a quarter left just to let it ride and see if there's any third pop to it. Normally, for a stock that dumps off after the open and continues to bleed out through the day, there is a second wind type of move. And that's what I thought I caught, at least here. So for right now, I don't know if it's going to continue to push up towards 3 and above for the last quarter of my position. I hope that's the case. If not, I don't really care. That actually helped me out pretty nicely throughout the entire day. The morning treated me all right. It was decent, couple wins here and there, and I was on the plus side of things, but I wasn't up a whole lot compared to I guess my normal amount. So this ended up getting me there. So I was pretty happy about that, and that's why I took most out, let a little quarter left to ride. All right. So otherwise, though, what we'll do is just go across the gainers and losers lists. Of course, the BBLG stock is really the one otherwise that we ended up focusing in on. And that was number 3 on the morning watch list here today. So pretty interesting, though. This stock ended up popping shortly after the open, got halted right away, and it kept getting halted across the morning. So it gave us little opportunity for a pullback, but it ended up building back up pretty nicely. It ended up making a nice hold off a halt print level that we had at 597. From there, pushed up a little bit higher, topped off right around 675, 678. And for right now, you can see it's just kind of coiling back up. It's holding pretty nicely above that print line I drew at 597, and you could say 6, the combination of them both. Uh, I feel like there's a chance for this to make a pop or a second win type of move at least. I'll come back to the stock at the end, and if it ends up popping as we continue to go through, then just type it in the chat boards. Just let me know. For right now, it's trying to build back up. It's at 627. There's not much of a resistance on the offer so far, or at least that I could see, probably up until 650. All right, so we'll see what else is out there. In the meantime, ZNGA responsibly, we stayed away from this trade. Just buy out. And I reckon you could have shorted it, made little money on the trade, but buyouts typically rarely make any sort of move. All right, so we keep it going. OLK pulled back down a bit. The stock pushed up pretty nicely from earlier today. It's not as if we traded the stock really too frequently before, but saw it climb up on the gainer side. Thought there would be more to it. Unfortunately not. So move on. BCRX, we already talked about. That one's already on our watch list, the only stock that we kind of put on there so far. All right, so PSTI, our focus was on this teaser of a stock, PSTI. Just look at this thing. Like just chop, it's a chop fest. It was teasing us all throughout the morning with this big break above 180 or lack thereof, you could say now. Yeah, it broke above 180, but only for about 7-8 cents, if that. I don't know. It's just so flat right now. It's not really too interesting to me here so far. Is it possible it could pop? Yeah, it's possible. If it does, I'll come back to it again at the end of this meeting. I guess I'll write this on the side list with the BBLG trade, although I do like that one a little bit more so far compared to this one. All right, let me move my cord here, cutting my headset. All right, so the RELI trade, RELI. Now, this stock we're becoming pretty familiar with itself. Ended up making a beautiful trend going into late December after a big pre-market pop, and over time just kept pushing up, topped off right around 10, I think that was, or over 10, and pulled back heading into the end of last week. But here we are today. Beautiful recovery, pushing back up as we speak. So no-brainer for right now. This one we'll definitely put on our main list. The RELI trade. Becoming quite reliable of a side list stock, at least. All right, so see what else we got here in the meantime. MOLN. I was not particular about this one today, folks. I'm happy that we stayed away from this one. It's not all about picking the best looking stocks for the morning. Of course, that's a big part of it. But the other part of it is making sure that we stay away from things like this. The gripe that I had on this trade was that it was like trading these gaps on the daily chart, just several points where it was probably trading a very low volume on a day-to-day basis. Like, back from January 5th. It was only trading 5,000 shares across the whole day. That's it. The next day on the 6th, 13 plus thousand. So we're not interested in those types of stocks. And BBLG, I reckon, was one of them. And, today trading extreme volume today. But, this one, the writing was on the wall early in pre-market. It was just really spotty early on. You kind of figured it would look like this. We keep going. IMUX, kind of low volume itself here. I'll pass on this. LIXT, this was on the gainers list last week, I think. Yeah, from Wednesday, I think that was. Ended up dropping off over time. But here today, making another recovery pretty similar to the RELI stock. A little spotty of a chart on the intraday, but the order book checks out pretty nicely. So for right now, I don't mind adding this thing to our list, the LIXT. Keep it going. Let's see, ATEC here in the meantime, not a whole lot happening there. Market ended up making a nice drop off from the open today, but ended up recovering pretty nicely. I was forewarning us inside the live trading room that there would be a drop in the SPY. It was dropping. And then shortly after I said that, we had a nice convenient pop. And since it's been trending up pretty nicely. So, it's good to see. Bitcoin starting to go with it. And we'll talk about Bitcoin at the end of this meeting, as always, on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. Moderna, albeit pretty expensive, had a pretty nice day today. KPTI. All right, I think that we're done with the gainer side here, folks. I saw DWAC and Fun trending up earlier today. If they're up enough, then we'll look at them just after we're done with the loser side here. But we'll check out. Holy smokes, did Pets drop 80% today? I didn't even see that. I looked at the losers list earlier today, and I swear this Pets trade was not on here. I mean, it had to have been a glitch from TradeStation, because otherwise this was definitely down big across the whole day and only continuing to break down now. I'm sure at some point this will be, a dead cat bounce. No pun intended, honestly, there. But, with this Pets trade, at least, I have no idea what's happening to this trade, folks. It's not worth watching right now. I feel like perhaps tomorrow it could be a nice trade in the morning if there's any signs of short covering or any signs of intraday buying. But right now, I don't know. It just seems like it's only going to keep dropping off here. Well, if this fold trade, nope. Fold ended up making a nice rebound. I was going to say, actually, quickly, if this fold trade keeps dropping, this would actually be a great short to follow, as this is easy to borrow. But ended up making a pretty nice bounce back up. Not too surprising at this point, I should say, because we'd called out that fold was right off 52-week low, and it was at pretty big support here, if anything, too, from the daily chart back from August and May time here. I believe this is right around 860. I think that price is 868 back from May 25th and back from late July, 860. So it ended up breaking under that historical level, then right back above it. It's been trending back up pretty nicely since. But I'll tell you what, I mean, it's trading enough volume so far for the afternoon, and it's down enough to maybe, hey, there's a chance where it can keep pushing up. Then otherwise, if it breaks back under 9 here, and we happen to see a lot more sell-off at and under 9, perhaps this could be a lower high for another short trade. So just given the overall volatility of this fold stock, I don't mind putting this on our list. CURV, pretty flat for right now. It's shortable and down big, but not much happening on the chart here. All right, so I'll tell you, the market recovered pretty nicely here today. So I don't know how much there's on the loser side at this point right now. I see some stocks that are easy to borrow, but stocks that aren't really trading a whole lot of volume across the day, or stocks that we're not really too familiar with. So, folks, if there's anything that I was pretty ignorant of and that you would want me to check out, or anything else otherwise that I may have just completely missed, just type it in the chat board. Let me know. I skipped over this IOVA stock I'm kind of familiar with. It is shortable. It's near the lows. If I really wanted to, I could put this on our watch list. I feel like for right now, we'll try and keep it a little simple. BBLG shake, Chuck says. Uh-oh. Up or down? Down. Ooh, big shake there. Uh-oh. One of the 4, or no, actually, this was on the side list. So the BBLG we didn't fully commit to just yet, right? It's not a good sign when it slams under that print line so strongly. I think that 597 to 6 is only going to be big resistance now. So I appreciate the heads up there, Chuck. I'm gonna scratch this off for right now. Now, if this does a total reverse from here and breaks right back over 597 and 6 and shows some good signs of life, then you can give it a fair shake. But otherwise, for right now, that shake itself, that doesn't look too good. Neo on the move, just kind of looks like a sideless stock, Lewis. Not a whole lot special going on about that. You could say the same on Palantir, pretty much everything else for right now, like an airlines, cruise line, nothing else really looking too strong. AMC inching up. All right, so folks, I think that's just about it. I'll go over Bitcoin pretty briefly from where we had left off on Friday. I wish I didn't give 44.5 as a support level. I wish I waited just an extra day, but I did think it was going to bounce from there. I'll pull up the Bitcoin daily chart here pretty quickly. So we last left off on Friday. At this point, with Bitcoin now below my support line 44 and 44.5, I was saying to you folks at this point now that I was wrong about that support, that we would happen to see Bitcoin continue to drop off, perhaps down towards the 500 EMA again, which, from the daily chart we were more looking at. So at this point here, ended up actually as of this morning breaking under and over the 500. It's trying to push back up, but I still feel like we're going to see some consolidation around the 500 because the last time it was here from the daily chart, I show the 1 hour chart, the 6 hour, and then otherwise the daily and weekly if we need to get to it. So from Friday, I was showing you folks, well, hey, the last time Bitcoin was off the 500 EMA ended up leading to like a pristine bounce, right? I mean, the perfect type of slingshot. I didn't think that that would be the case this time. And I said that from Friday after I told you that it would drop down to 44, 44.5. So I was wrong on that support. But at this point, I'm not fully committed to a slingshot like we had back from late July. The way the market's been moving, albeit, this afternoon, the SPY ended up reversing pretty nicely and Bitcoin went to a degree with it. I don't feel like we're fully out of the doghouse with this beginning to kind of tease and chop around the 500 here. So I haven't bought any more since. We'll see what happens across this week and we'll go from there. But I'm expecting to see this begin to pull back more, perhaps teasing another break below the 500. But I think that over time it will begin to hold, but I feel like we'll get a little consolidation period at that point. Just really quickly looking at the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, because I know that we had talked about this briefly from last week. It's not even just Ethereum. I'm not trying to pick on Ethereum here, but otherwise, looking at the daily, just lower lows over time. So the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, even on the weekly, it was closing pretty low. And then from that point, we've ended up seeing this begin to drop off since. The thing I want to show, let's see if I can pull it up here. I took a snapshot of this for anyone interested, not just in Bitcoin, but all the other, altcoins, etc. I've shown this from time to time. This is the Bitcoin dominance chart. So this basically shows Bitcoin's relationship with all of the other altcoins, Ethereum included. I ended up using a FIB retracement line dating back from the bottom back in 2018 to this peak. And it's just to say that although it's still kind of holding under the 78.6% line here, just to say it's pretty much right at flat support back from the back from 2018 year. It's a monthly chart. So back from May of 2018, it's been pretty much there. And I've been hoping for a slow, gradual break of that support over time. And it was happening for a little bit up until, well, the last few days. And now Bitcoin dominance beginning to push back up here for right now. So this is definitely something to keep in mind if you're following, Ethereum or Cardano or Phantom that I've been showing lately, or, any of the other altcoins. BTC.D is the symbol. Lewis loaded up some at 40K. Nice. And we'll see what happens this week, but I definitely would like to myself. All right, that's all I got for you on Bitcoin land, folks. If there's anything else otherwise with stocks, type it in the chat board. Let me know. RELI shaking, but held the 770 and now making a new high of the day. I mean, hey, this is just one of 4 stocks so far on the watch list. We don't need to put too many on our watch list going into the close. And for the last little sliver of my trade that I have on the RVPH, unfortunately, it's not looking good. So I feel like I know where this is headed, if anything. I'm actually just going to look to close out here coming up. So with that in mind, I think that we're pretty much all set, folks. If there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%, just type it in the chat board. But I think that we're pretty much good here. Quick check on ISIG, ISIG. It's not really worth watching. Ended up dropping off going into noontime and making a second win type of move back up, perhaps here. But I feel like this will only look to snap down over time. All right, folks, but I think that we're pretty much good to go for right now. So 4 stocks in total that we'll look to put on the afternoon watch list. And then aside from that, if there is anything else that does make a really good move that that we would love to be, have called out in the room, then at that point, type it in the chat board. Feel free to do it. But if it's something that's just kind of inching up, inching down, I'd hold off on it, folks. Start and stick with this list. And then, like I said, if there's anything big that makes, a pop or comes across your radar, call it out. But otherwise, we'll look to see if there's anything else moving out there by 3:30 Eastern time. All right, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, I believe I'll be doing the morning meeting tomorrow as well, but not fully sure on that. You might get Fausto. We'll see what happens, see how he feels at least. But if you have any other questions, feel more than free to send over a quick email, josh@ctutrading.com. If you were interested in joining our live trading room and continuing the afternoon audio commentary that we'll be providing, feel more than free to go to the link right down on the stream below to get yourself started. But for all of us there right now, Patrick, Leda, Mario, Ari, who just locked up a nice little trade on ISIG, Chuck on RELI as well, RELI. Chuck picked up 19 cents right now inside Cyber Group, got in from 791. So nice catch from Ari and Chuck. I look forward to speaking to everyone there coming up pretty soon. Take care.